Live from the studios of GBC24 here in the capital. This is News Hour and you're welcome to our studios. My name is Selike Makola Chapalu.
And my name is Akpene Avo Ajaja. Robert Frimpomans is also here. He will do the sign language translation of the news.
And in the headlines this evening, Ghanaian workers protest increase in utility tariffs and energy sector levies.
Ashanti Regional Police Command to set up election security task force.
And on the foreign front, $5 million deal signed for Ebola vaccine to protect against future outbreaks.
A look at the stories now in details. Thousands of Ghanaian workers on Wednesday took to the streets of Accra to protest the recent increase in utility tariffs and the energy sector levies.
The protests, which was organized by the Trades Union Congress TUC, was meant to draw attention of the government to the difficulties now facing workers following the upward adjustment in utility tariffs and the taxes on petroleum products.
The organized labor demonstration started at the Obra Sport at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. The leadership of TUC, led by its General Secretary, Mr. Kofi Asamoah, held each other's hands to lead the march, perhaps a sign of unity in leadership. The peaceful demonstration exercise saw heavy security presence to enforce law and order. From the Obra Sport, the protesters took to the principal streets of Accra, including the Farisco and the Ministry Streets, and finally converged on the Black Star Square. In December last year, the PURC announced a 59.2% increase in electricity and 67.2% in water tariffs. Immediately after Christmas, government further announced increases in prices of petroleum products by over 25%, following the passage of the Energy Sector Levies Act 899-2015. In spite of these increases, government has increased public sector workers' salary by only 10%. According to organized labor, their negotiation with government's working group for a reduction of the tariffs and the withdrawal of the energy sector levy have proved futile, hence the demonstration.
Honorable Minister, it is our fervent hope that today's demonstration across the country will touch your heart. Honorable Minister, any attempt to fix all our economic challenges within a couple of months or within a year can result in social instability with implications for both economy and the polity. Honorable Minister will remain available to continue the dialogue towards economic and social development of our country.
The Employment and Labor Relations Minister, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, commended the TUC for the peaceful exercise. He promised to deliver the petition to the President for amicable solution. He was hopeful ongoing negotiations will yield positive results.
Let me take this opportunity to invite you that I cherish the opportunity that you are available for continuing negotiation. We will continue negotiations tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Flagstaff House on this issue, and I assure you that government will make some overtures to your demands. At least on one leg, we should be able to meet you halfway in the interest of a win-win strategy.
According to organized labor, if their demands are not met by government, then a strike action will be the next option.
Similar demonstrations took place in all regional capitals all over the country. In the Bonahafo region, workers poured onto the streets to demand the reversal of the tariff hike and petroleum price increases. Talks between organized labor and the Employment and Labor Ministry have stalled. The demonstration in the Bonahafo regional capital, Sunyani, started from the post office roundabout and ended at the forecourt of the Regional Coordinating Council. In an interview, the regional secretary, Mr. Joseph Ankama, said he was a bit disappointed with the participation of workers. At the Regional Coordinating Council, the regional secretary read the petition to the demonstrators before repeating it for the benefit of the Deputy Regional Minister. Mr. Justice Ajay commended the demonstrators for keeping the demonstration peaceful and promised to channel their concerns to the government. In the Ashanti region, an appreciable number of workers, mostly from the public sector, turned up for the organized labor-led street protest against recent economic policies introduced by the government. The almost 3-hour demonstration had a heavy police protection to ensure that nothing marred the demonstration. They first converged at the Jubilee Park at Asem before embarking on the protest march, which lasted about 3 hours. They later moved through the Asafo Labour roundabout, the interchange, then through the Ramsey Presby Church area, and passed through the regional police head office, Pampaso, before ending the demonstration at the Centre for National Culture. However, as they went through the route, the number of the participants marginally increased. One significant observation was the involvement of basic school pupils in the street protests. They confirmed to GBC24 that schools were closed because of the absence of their teachers. At the final destination, which was the Centre for National Culture, the demonstrators were addressed by the Ashanti Regional Industrial Relations Officer of the Public Service Workers Union, Mr. Kofi Asianua. Mr. Asianua expressed the hope that the demonstration will touch the heart of government to address concerns of Ghanaians.
At the whole municipality in the Volta region, the leadership and members of organized labor of the Trades Union Congress joined their colleagues in other parts of the country to demonstrate against the recent increases in utility tariffs and the energy sector levies within the whole municipality of the Volta region. Hundreds of workers within the municipality gathered at the STC terminal where the demonstration started. The workers carried placards with inscription about the economic plight as a result of the increases. From the STC terminal, the workers went through the principal streets of Ho and ended at the premises of the Volta Regional Coordinating Council, where they presented their petition to the government. It was received by the Regional Coordinating Director, Mr. Ibrahim Al-Hassan. He commended them for a peaceful exercise and assured them that their petition will reach the appropriate quarters. In the Upper East region, there was high security presence to ensure that the event goes on without any hitch. The event began at the Jubilee Park through to the Black Star Hotel Street, then to the Commercial Street, straight to take the Abilba Street to the Town Council Road. They finally converged at the Regional Coordinating Council to present a 3-page petition to the regional minister. At the RCC, the regional chairman of NAGRAT, Mr. Michael Aturaboya, read the petition on behalf of organized labor. Mr. Aturaboya lamented that the tariff increment had greatly affected the formal sector workers who are already struggling to come to terms with the payment of direct taxes used to run the affairs of the country. The outgoing Upper East Regional Minister who received the petition on behalf of the government commended the demonstrators for the peaceful manner in which they conducted themselves. The petition, he assured, will be appropriately forwarded to the Office of the President for consideration and redress. Related development, teaching and learning in some public schools in Accra was not interrupted despite the demonstration by organized labor. A visit by GBC24 to some public basic schools in Accra showed that schools were in session as pupils and teachers were in the classroom.
The Kanda cluster of schools has 8 basic schools under its circuit. The atmosphere at the school at about 11 this morning was calm as classes were in full session. The circuit supervisor for the Kanda cluster of schools, Mr. Israel Mate, told GBC24 that although teachers have the right to boycott classes as a result of the organized labor demonstration, effective teaching and learning is ongoing under his circuit. He said provision was made to ensure that pupils and students go about their normal duties.
Some of them have actually embarked on the demonstration, but teaching and learning is going on in my school. As you can see, all the children are in the classrooms, and we've made sure that they are actually taken care of. So those who have gone on demonstrations, we have made provisions that the teachers who are around will take care of them, give them exercises, make sure that they are occupied in the class so that nobody will move out.
Classes were in session at the Nima cluster of schools at the time the news team got there. The headmaster of the school, Mr. Noah Aisi, who declined to speak on camera, said the total number of teachers under his supervision are 25. Out of that number, 9 teachers out of the 11 for the junior high school were absent. He said although that has affected teaching and learning at the JHS level, almost all teachers at the primary department were present to carry out their normal duties. The situation at the Manchetaki cluster of schools at Adabraka was not different. Pupils were being taught by their teachers, giving no room for truancy. The circuit supervisor, Madam Evelyn Akofaye-Ntumi, who also declined to speak on camera, said the decision for some teachers to join the demonstration followed a notice served the Ghana Education Service by the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT. But it was, however, not mandatory for all teachers. She said teaching and learning will continue to take place so that pupils will not get the chance to roam about. In some more stories, the Ashanti Regional Police Command is to constitute a regional election security task force to ensure violence-free general elections this year. The task force will comprise members of the Regional Security Council, regional representatives of political parties, and some media organizations. It will, among other duties, engage in constant interactions with the general public to ensure peaceful political atmosphere before, during, and after this year's elections.
The passion for victory of political party loyalists and their anxieties about electoral outcomes sometimes lead to violence during elections. It is to forestall any such problems that the country is taking steps to tighten security. The Ashanti region is a political hotbed in the country, and therefore it is no wonder the Regional Police Command has already begun a process to have a regional election security task force. The police service is mandated to use various platforms to educate and sensitize the various stakeholders in the electoral process, including political parties, on the need to use dialogue and legal structures to address their concerns and eschew violence. The stakeholders meeting was held at the instance of the Ashanti Regional Police Command and attended by regional executives of all political parties, news editors, producers and hosts of television and radio morning shows, and heads of the security agencies in the region. The Regional Police Commander, DCOP Nathan Kofi expressed the concern of the police administration about the use of violence and intimidation by political parties, a practice he said is gaining currency. He spoke about measures being put in place by the regional command to ensure that the citizens go about their lawful activities in peace.
Sometimes some people don't mean harm, but the way they will speak, the way they will talk, and the way the host will lead the question may give the impression that the person is inciting. But that will not be the matter of the law. Because once your pronouncement have been able to incite people to violence and sometimes to murder, then you'll be held liable for whatever result from your pronouncements.
DCOP Boachi also cautioned the media to be circumspect in their reportage, adding that hosts of morning shows should not entertain any panelist who inflames passion or uses a language that can incite people into violence. Representatives of the MPP and NDC and a media practitioner shared some views with GBC24 on ways to ensure continued peace in the country after this year's elections.
On behalf of the youth in the region, I assure the police that we are going to cooperate with them and make sure that we maintain the cherished peace that we are having in this country.
You're watching News Hour live on your all news channel GBC24 and GTV.
We'll take a quick break. When we return, Dorothy Ajiman will be here with the business news. Do stay.
It's the third working day of the week and we bring you some updates from the world of business. Many thanks for joining us. Good evening. I am Dorothy Ajimai. Two leading banks in Ghana, EcoBank and GCB, are to appear before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament to answer questions on their inability to pay revenue collected on behalf of the GRA in 2012 on schedule. Per the laws of the country, revenues collected on behalf of the GRA by the banks ought to be paid by 3 days' time, but EcoBank and GCB paid the money after 2 years. The amount involved is 83.3 million Ghana cedis.
Wednesday's proceedings at the Public Account Committee got off with a debate on the absence of the governor of the central bank, Dr. Kofi Wampa, who was billed to answer questions on mismatches in the bank's accounts. The vice chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachia, did not understand why the governor refused to appear after doing same on Tuesday, January 19. He said failure of Mr. Wampa to honor the invitation extended to him by the committee is tantamount to contempt.
I am not too comfortable. And also, since I sat here as the vice chair, the governor is fond of excuses. I have to say it out loud. This particular governor is fond of excuses.
However, the MP for Keta, Richard Kwashiga, pleaded that First Deputy Governor Millicent Na should be allowed to answer questions on behalf of the governor.
Admit the Deputy Governor with the hope that in the future the governor will turn up for these hearings when he is summoned by this committee.
When the dust settled, the committee moved to seek answers as to why the GCB and EcoBank failed to pay monies collected on behalf of the GRA in 2012 on time.
EcoBank Ghana Limited and GCB Bank Limited failed to pay into your accounts at Bank of Ghana 83.3 million Ghana cedis collected on your behalf. When was it paid? They breached the agreement. They didn't pay 3 days after collection. They held on to it for 2 good years.
The Commissioner General of the GRA, George Blankson, said the two banks were made to pay interest on the monies collected.
In situations where this becomes clear to us and is confirmed, we ask them to pay interest. And in this particular situation, EcoBank was asked to pay interest over the period that the amount remained in the account of EcoBank.
Wanting to get much details about the issue, the chairman of the committee decided to summon the two banks for further clarification. The indebtedness of the ECG, VRA, TOR, Ghana Heavy Equipment and West African Drilling Services to the GRA also came up for discussion. From 2010 to 2012, the five companies owed GRA 245.4 million Ghana cedis, some of which is yet to be paid.
In Tema, the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Kweku Ricketts-Hagan, says the ministry is working harder to solve the challenges confronting the textile industry. It is therefore enforcing an administrative ban on counterfeiting and piracy of Ghanaian textiles by Asian countries to protect the industry. Mr. Ricketts-Hagan made the statement at the Golden Jubilee of Textiles Ghana Limited.
Formerly known as GTP, Textiles Ghana Limited is one of the leading textile producers in Ghana, with African prints like GTP Textile, Udine and GTP New Style. The company has suffered greatly from unfair competition from Asian countries over piracy and counterfeiting. The hurdles notwithstanding, the company has grown in size after 50 years of operating and is a force to reckon with globally. The managing director of Textiles Ghana Limited, Mr. Kofi Boateng, commended management and staff for their selfless commitment to the success of the company. He noted that, despite the challenges and unfair competition due to the influx of textiles from China and counterfeit designs, the company is still making strides in creativity and innovation.
GTP continues to create new designs and colors and ready-to-wear lines to ensure that we drive the fashion industry in Ghana and the sub-region. We are now empowering our customers by adding a new value-added service called the GTP Authentication Service. This helps them to determine whether the GTP they are buying is genuine or fake.
The Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Kweku Ricketts-Hagan, congratulated Textiles Ghana Limited for their contribution to the manufacturing industry and the human capital development of the country.
Textiles and garment sector will experience greater transformation, making significant contribution to the share of the non-traditional export to GDP.
On the issue of piracy and counterfeiting, the Deputy Minister hinted that the ministry is equipping the National Task Force to clamp down on anyone who pirates Ghanaian textiles. There were congratulatory messages to the company on its milestone. There was also an exhibition of some of the company's products and services.
The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development will soon introduce the closed fishing season. This means industrial fishing vessels will not be permitted to fish in Ghanaian waters for 3 months. Within the period, the fish stock is expected to increase as the closed season will allow the sea to regenerate itself.
In 2004, the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) revealed that fisheries constitute a major source of protein for some West African countries, contributing about 2/3 of the daily animal protein intake in Ghana, the Gambia, and Sierra Leone. However, the fish stock in Ghana's territorial waters has gradually declined in the last 4 decades, mostly due to overfishing or poor management of the sector. The decline has limited the country's ability to meet domestic demand and threatened the economic and food security of many Ghanaians. Ghanaian fishermen contribute 70 to 80% of Ghana's fish protein requirements and provide jobs for fishmongers and other traders. Currently, an estimated 10% of the Ghanaian population depend on marine fishing for their livelihood. Changes in climate are also having an impact on the productivity of coastal and river ecosystems. On the sidelines of a national stakeholders dialogue on capacity building support projects for fisheries and coastal management in Accra, Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Ms. Sherry Aite, said one sure way to protect the fisheries is to adapt prudent practices like the closed fishing season.
It is important that the sea must be allowed to regenerate itself. So we are going to establish what we are going to call closed season. Closed season means that industrial fishing vessels will not be fishing for about 3 months. And we have dialogued with canoe fishermen. They said, okay, they will also volunteer 2 days in a week not to go fishing.
The project manager of the USAID-funded project, Dr. Dennis Wolanyo Aheto, gave some details about the project.
Through this project, the USAID has committed $5.5 million to facilitate this issue in the country. And what basically UCC is doing is that we are using the funds to train students at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. We have been engaging the local people within the coastal communities, fisheries communities, the fishermen in particular, and fish processors, as it were, to come up with issues that perhaps can drive research for policy making.
The USAID's environmental specialist in Ghana, Mr. Justice Odoi, said the timing was right.
Since fisheries is important to the economy and the people of Ghana in terms of nutrition, both children and pregnant women and even all the men, nutrition is very important, and we see it as an important thing to support. There's a lot of advocacy and promotion of aquaculture, but aquaculture in itself will not solve all the problems because it will not be able to meet the demand. So it's important that we take the marine fisheries important and safeguard it.
The Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Science at the University of Cape Coast, DFAS, is to conduct a research into the fisheries sector. The department is currently training middle and high-level manpower in fields related to productivity, conservation, sustainable use, and management of aquatic habitats and their resources.
On interbank, the cedi gained 4 pesos to the pound sterling to trade at 5 cedis 40 pesos. It lost to the dollar to trade at 3 cedis 82 pesos and lost a peso to the euro to trade at 4 cedis 16 pesos. On the international commodity markets today, Ghana's major trading commodities lost in prices. Light crude dipped by 80 cents to trade at $27.60. Gold and cocoa also lost $1 to 60 cents and $29 to close the day trading. Next is the board. That's all in this package. We have more news ahead. Please do stay.
And you're welcome back. This is the health segment brought to you by FPAC Blows Your Pain Away. In the segment today, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has partnered the Agriculture Organization to curb the spread of the highly pathogenic avian influenza and subsequently eliminate it from Ghana. The two have signed an agreement on a technical cooperation project worth over $400,000 to contain the disease and better manage the risk factors.
The poultry industry plays a significant role in the agriculture sector. However, in recent times, the industry has been hard hit by frequent outbreaks of highly pathogenic avian influenza, HPAI. It was formally reported in Ghana in May 2015 and confirmed in June 2015 after reports of similar outbreaks in other West African countries. In December last year, 36 outbreaks were recorded in 5 regions: Greater Accra, Volta, Ashanti, Central and Western region. In view of this, a team from the Food and Agriculture Organization Crisis Management Center Animal Health from Rome visited the country last year to evaluate the extent of the outbreak and work with local and other partners to institute practical measures to bring the HPAI outbreaks under control. They recommended outbreak investigations, case tracing surveillance, and improvement in communication on the spread and prevention of the influenza.
I'm very pleased to note that the government of Ghana immediately took some measures in response to the recommendations, including movement restrictions of poultry and poultry products from the outbreak areas to other parts of the country, and payment of compensation to affected poultry farmers, and provision of targeted information to various stakeholders. It's also important to note that the payment of compensation has also encouraged HPAI disease reporting.
The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture in charge of livestock, Dr. Hannah Bisiu, urged the public not to be afraid of eating locally hatched chicken due to the number of outbreaks in some areas.
And to appeal to the general public to continue patronizing the local poultry. We should cook our meat very well. We should wash our hands when you handle, raw meat. We should cook our eggs very well. But it is very, very safe to still consume poultry.
The Technical Cooperation Project is expected to assist the government to control the influenza. Field officers will also be trained in current techniques for the disease outbreak surveillance and investigations. They will also be equipped to train poultry producers on disease recognition, biosecurity, and best practices.
And we're taking you up north. Now, 100 people in Yendi have successfully undergone free surgical operations. The conditions for which the surgeries were provided for included umbilical hernia, goiter, fibroid, and fistula.
For the people of the area, the work of the 44-member medical team from the United States of America has been described as a blessing, since many of the patients could not afford to pay for the surgeries. The least cost of the surgery was about 3,000 cedis. The team was brought into the municipality by the Baptist Global Mission at Yendi under the Care for Ghana project. The project was in the municipality in 2013, where more than 100 from the exercise free of charge. The Yendi Municipal Hospital is a referral center for 8 districts in the eastern corridor of the northern region. Information from the hospital show that about 270 patients attend the hospital daily with little resources. Dr. Dena Kusa mentioned inadequate medical equipment and regular power cuts as major challenges facing the hospital.
Times when actually the power has gone off, which has made it difficult at times. The power, the electricity, at times has gone off. This time we actually brought the anesthesia machine you see in the room with us. The anesthesia machine they are currently using is kind of outdated and hard for the staff here to use, and it really limits the type of cases that they can actually do. The cautery generators that they have here are pretty old and outdated also, and it also makes it challenging. So we actually bring our own generators with us whenever we actually come to Ghana.
The medical superintendent, Dr. Ayuba Seidu Abdullahi, spoke to GBC24.
Most of them are thyroid cases, hernia cases. You can see that there's some of the sample of the list. When we clear towards the bottom part of the list, we'll go around the ward and then select those who are pre-booked for the surgeries, and then we will see those who are fit for surgery. We've done almost about 10 thyroid, huge thyroid, what we call it, operations. The rest being hernia and other lipomas. Doing very well.
The head of the Baptist mission at Yendi, Reverend Emmanuel Mustafa, said the church does not only preach the gospel, but also provide social interventions to the vulnerable in society. Reverend Mustafa also donated treated mosquito nets to patients.
And still on health, a draft aging bill is soon to be presented to Parliament by the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. When passed into law, it will ensure that an aged fund is established to address challenges that are created and to ensure that there's a safety net for older persons.
Outlining the social interventions program for the elderly, such as the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty Leave, EBAN welfare card, establishment of the Aging Council, and the provision of geriatric care, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection commended the elderly for their contributions to society. She hinted that the Attorney General is preparing a draft aging bill to be presented to Cabinet by the end of the first quarter. She says the ministry will ensure that the bill is passed by Parliament. When passed, the Act will see to the establishment of an aged fund to address aging challenges and to create a social safety net for older persons. Nana Oyelita also disclosed that her ministry will hold a National Aging Policy and Pensioners Conference to pool ideas and best practices on caring for the elderly. About 1.5 million extremely poor and vulnerable people across the country have been registered onto the NHIS free of charge. This figure includes people from special homes like leprosaria, prisons, and mental health hospitals, as well as indigents.
And in health news elsewhere, the Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, has signed a $5 million deal for an Ebola vaccine to protect against future outbreaks of the deadly disease. The deal commits pharmaceutical company Merck to keeping 300,000 vaccines ready for emergency use or further clinical trials. It will also submit an application to license the vaccine by the end of 2017, which would be the next step towards enabling Gavi to prepare a global stockpile. More than 11,000 people have died in the latest outbreak in West Africa. The sheer scale of the outbreak, the largest in history, led to an unprecedented push on vaccines, which condensed a decade's work into less than a year. Merck has led trials of the VSV-EBOV vaccine, which combines a fragment of the Ebola virus with another safer virus in order to train the immune system to beat Ebola. Early evidence from studies in West Africa suggests it may give 100% protection, although more data is still being collected. The World Health Organization declared West Africa Ebola-free last week after all the affected countries had gone 42 days without a case. And that's all in the health segment brought to you by FPAC. We'll be back with more.
Welcome back to the news. In the international segment, a militant gun attack has caused carnage at a university in northwest Pakistan, with at least 19 people dead and 50 injured. An army official said firing had stopped several hours after the attack, but troops were still searching Bachakan University campus in Chasadar. 4 attackers were killed amid conflicting reports that the Taliban were involved. In Iraq, satellite images confirmed that the oldest Christian monastery has been destroyed by the jihadist group Islamic State. St. Elijah's stood on a hill near the northern city of Mosul for 1,400 years, but the latest images suggest it had been demolished in late 2014, soon after IS seized the city. A Catholic priest from Mosul warned that its Christian history was being barbarically leveled. We see it as an attempt to expel us from Iraq, eliminating and finishing our existence in this land, said Father Paul Thabit Habib, who now lives in Kurdish-administered Ibr. The group has also demolished a number of monasteries and churches, as well as renowned pre-Islamic sites. And that's it in the international segment. We'll be back with sports shortly.
By kindness of Tornado Betters and also Malaria Treated Insecticide Net, we bring you sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. Let's start off from Accra, where the 2016 edition of the Ghana Table Tennis Top 8 has been launched. The event is serving as a platform for the table tennis players to be ranked in the country. The top 8 male and female ping-pong players are set to do battle for national ranking. The competition, organized by the Ghana Table Tennis Federation, is in partnership with Stanbic Bank and Graphic Communications Group. At the launch in Accra, the president of the GTF, Malko Afajanu, says he can't wait for a good game.
On Saturday, we have 8 champions. And what it is that virtually every one of these guys will be playing and these ladies will be playing during the course of the year, won an event or came very close to winning an event. They accumulated points, they qualified for the top 8. So the top 8 is usually a masterpiece. It's sponsored by Stanbic Bank. It's an amazing occasion. Come and have great entertainment. Hey, you can't miss out on this. Please, let's see you at the sports stadium.
The vice president of the Ghana Table Tennis Federation, Mr. Ken Ashigbe, says tennis has the potential to bring laurels to the country.
Some of the sports, you take 11 people and you get 1 medal. For us, we will take less than 11 and we'll bring you more than 1 medal. Because we can do it in the men, the women. We can also do it in the group sports, the team sports as well. So give us a little bit of that attention when you do your broadcast. And we'll turn that around. And every year we'll come and tell you what it is that we've done.
Both Linda Ano and Derek Abrefa are expected to face stiff competition as they seek to defend their crown. Still in Accra, the head coach of the national handball team, George Bankole, says Basic School League is in the offing. The league is expected to boost the Catch Them Young project, which will serve as a feeder team to the national team. By the end of January, the Ghana Handball Federation will commence a grassroots project at the basic school level. This has been tagged the Handball at Schools project. The project is to inculcate into the children the love of handball at an early age, teach them the rules of the game, and also create their interest in the sport. The head coach of the national handball team, George Bankole, on the sidelines of the ongoing international handball level 1 course across the country, said the competition for basic schools and senior high schools will kick off soon.
First, we are hoping of getting this top 6 competition revived. When they finish the inter-regions, the top 6 regions will come back, will assemble at a particular region, then we play. Then we also have this mini league. We'll divide, we'll zone the regions. So we have the upper zone, the middle zone, and the southern zone, so that we also play some leagues, so that after everything, the champions will meet and we play.
Coach Bankole touched on the timely nature of the ongoing IHF course.
There are some people outside now in the national team who, when you have them to do jump shot, they don't even know what is jump shot. So at the national level, you are still teaching them the basics. But with the expectation that we are looking for, we want them to go down there to train them the basic routine of handball, so that when they come up and this thing, already when you catch a young boy, you know that he has got those skills already.
As at now, the international handball course instructor is at Sekondi Takoradi Metropolis, taking PE masters through the course. Already, 113 PE masters and coaches have been certified from the course. Let's move to France, where defending champions Paris Saint-Germain came from a goal down to lose by 2-1. The result means PSG have progressed to the last 16 of the French Cup. In a repeat of the 5-set history matchup 7 years ago, Rafael Nadal came short, this time against countryman Fernando Verdasco in the first round of the Australian Open. Nadal crashed out of the competition after losing 7-6, 4-6, 3-6, 7-6, 6-2 in the 5-set thriller. That's all for sports, brought to you in partnership with Tobingo Pharmaceuticals Limited and Tornado Bitters.
Hello, good evening. Time for some art news. My name is Valerie Danso. A hip life artist turned gospel musician after a close shave with death narrated his ordeal on GBC24.
Went for a meeting at Accra with a friend.
Okay.
It was his car. I was in the passenger seat. And after the meeting and we're coming back, I was a bit tired, so I laid back and then I dozed off. He was speeding on the motorway. Okay. A taxi driver came from behind, overtook him, and was in front of him. And he was, because he was speeding, he wanted to swerve to avoid a head-on collision.
Okay.
And in the act of swerving, the car got, he said he lost control. He didn't know how it happened.
Okay.
And then the car got off the road and somersaulted 3 times and landed on its head.
Your side?
My side. It somersaulted, it got off the road on my side, through my side like that. And then it landed on its head. Okay. And then we're in seat belts, and so we're like that.
Okay, so upside down.
Upside down.
Ooh.
And I was off, but he was conscious. It was his arm that got dislocated, but it's part of him, so he was able to fix it back. Okay. And he got out of the car, and then he found some people and they pulled me out. But I was off, unconscious, bleeding. And doctors said I was in the car like that, bleeding. One of my neck bones had broken, and it was 1 inch away from my respiratory system here. And if it had pressed on it, I would have lost my breath in seconds. And so 1 inch away from death, God gave me a second chance. Now, not everybody pays attention to the truth. And not everybody is ready to push the truth. The enough push is not there. But I'm believing that God knows what He's doing.
We asked if he's financially struggling to keep up with the gospel music industry.
I'm not getting that support as compared to
hip life songs.
Hip life songs. But you see, I'm not surprised because it is not of the world.
During our chat on the showbiz segment, he was offered a slot on a show in Belgium to evangelize.
God showed me that I'll be going to Europe. And then after showing me that, everywhere I go to testify, people come to me and they say to me, you go international. And when they say that, I realize that it is not them saying it to me. It is God speaking through them to me. And so God has fulfilled that prophecy right now. Jesus says in Matthew 6:19-20 that we should let that be our main goal. Heaven and its treasures, eternal life. And when we make that our main goal, it will lead us into light. It will make us walk in holiness, in righteousness. It will affect our characters, our behaviors, our lifestyle on earth here, so that when He comes, receive that holy reward, that eternal life that He has promised, indeed will receive it.
The Chinese community in Ghana has held its annual get-together in Accra. The event is organized to welcome the Chinese Spring Festival Gala and is celebrated by the Chinese across the globe.
The Chinese New Year, also known as the Chinese Spring Festival Gala, is marked on the first day of the new year on the Chinese calendar. This is from the Gregorian calendar. The Chinese New Year is the most important and longest of all Chinese festivals celebrated in Chinese communities worldwide. During the season, the people offer sacrifices to idols in their homes. On this occasion, they also don red attire and organize a banquet for family and friends. The event involves lion and dragon dances and parades featuring acrobatic display. The Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Madame Sun Hong-kun, spoke to GBC24.
You know, the Chinese New Year is coming. It falls on February 8th. It will be the year of monkey. So it's our tradition that all the fellow Chinese will get united before the coming of the Chinese New Year. So we celebrate, and it's a very joyous occasion for all the Chinese people here.
It was a night of Chinese traditional dances. Some Ghanaians also joined the night with some traditional dance forms. A Ghanaian mesmerized the audience with a Chinese song.
That's it for this segment.